Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Totalbiscuit. I thought I'd do a little bit of Tribes commentary for a while, just a solo commentary here of a game that I picked up a couple of days ago. It went fairly well, and it demonstrated some interesting play, I think, with the Infiltrator. I mean, trying to nail down really what to do with the Infiltrator, and I think I pretty much figured it out. And the Infiltrator is designed for causing havoc inside of bases. It's not a particularly good flag grabber. You don't have an awful lot of energy, and you can't really get up a huge amount of speed for a light class. If you want to do that kind of thing, you really need to do it as a Pathfinder, not as an Infiltrator. But the stealth does allow for interesting approaches. It also allows for you to take out technicians and generators very, very rapidly, as we'll demonstrate here with just an immediate run through to the generator. The nice thing about taking out generators early on is that they won't be upgraded. So you can go up against a generator, you can kill it with 2 sticky grenades, as long as you've got all of the upgrades, and then a stealth spin fuser shot. Inevitably, what will then happen is the technician's going to come down, he's going to have a look around, see what he can see, probably not find you, and then we'll go for that. Unfortunately, one of our friends came along and sort of ruined the whole stealth aspect of this, so I have a feeling this is going to end up in a death one way or the other. But I am using the Survivalist perk, which is, as far as I'm concerned, pretty much essential for Infiltrators. There's a number of things you can do with an Infiltrator build, but the one that I've gone with is Close Combat and Survivalist. Close Combat is pretty awful until you get it maxed out. When you get it maxed out, it does plus 50% backstab damage. Now that is quite nice, for obvious reasons. You can pick off quite a few medium classes in a single hit with a proper backstab. And of course you can do stuff like that. Meleeing in this game is surprisingly effective if you're doing a lot of indoor play. It's really good for that. It's also quite nice for picking off snipers, who tend to hang around in one place, technicians, trying to fix up installations outside of the enemy base, and it's good for doing some damage to heavy classes, like, say, a Juggernaut doing a lot of shelling and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, it doesn't kill them, and that makes things a bit tricky. There is a combo that will kill them. You can sticky them with a sticky grenade and then go for a backstab, or one way or the other. Usually you want to sticky them first, because as soon as they backstab, the chances are their immediate reaction is going to be to jetpack, and you're not going to be able to do anything at that point, because they'll be airborne, and good luck hitting with a sticky grenade at that stage. The problem with that combo is you tend to kill yourself in the process, because sticky grenades will easily pop you as an Infiltrator. No problems whatsoever. The biggest defense you've obviously got as an Infiltrator is the cloaking device, and as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much essential before you play an Infiltrator to really start to put some points into the actual cloak pack itself. Lets you keep it up for an awful lot longer. Combining that with Survivalist that's fully leveled up, a level 3 Survivalist perk will allow you to gain 40% of your energy back by picking up an ammo pack. So incredibly useful. It lets you stay cloaked for an incredible amount of time, which is essential for living inside a base. What you're going to want to be doing inside the base is sabotaging the generator over and over again, because that is really helpful to your team. It means the radar goes down, which means that the enemy team isn't going to see your team coming. It also brings down the turrets, so it's easier to get a flag cap. It also means it's easier to get vehicles in position as well, because those turrets could do damage one way or the other. Things you have to watch out for, of course, things like those EMP mines right there, which will knock you out of cloak and drain your energy. Thankfully, you can regen once you're fully upgraded quite quickly. There are opportunities here. Now, what I discovered was, we might wonder, well, how the hell did you not kill that guy? I did get at least the aftermath pickup on that. Apparently he's using a perk, as he told me at the end of the match, which reduces damage and also deals it back to me. So a backstab would have worked on anybody else, and that should have been an instant kill, and it's very useful against technicians. But it turns out there is a perk which can stop that from happening. It's not a very popular perk, honestly, because close combat is not really a big choice for a lot of people. Melee in this game is tricky. It can be easy to miss, and the recovery time from melee is a little bit long, in my opinion. So you might want to watch out for that. It can be a little bit dangerous, but you can get some very satisfying kills one way or the other. You may want to angle it slightly, because more often than not, you'll be going up against a strafing enemy. So try and twist the melee just a little bit, and do it while you're curving to one side or the other to follow him, instead of just attacking straight ahead, which will more often than not result in you missing. The melee does not have much of a cone to it in terms of what it hits, so that's a little bit tricky. Now, more often than not, as an infiltrator, you're going to be going up against these bastards, and things do tend to get very, very difficult. If you can hit them with a sticky grenade, then you're going to do a lot of damage. You can't kill them, but a Juggernaut indoors with fusion mortars, very difficult to deal with. Brute is also a bit of a pain. I find them easier to deal with, certainly, than a Juggernaut. A fusion mortar will one-shot you if it hits you. You can maybe get away with it against a Brute. Admittedly, Brutes are also really great indoors one way or the other, especially if they decide to go for the heavy spin fuser in addition to the automatic shotgun, which will rip you to shreds as an infiltrator. Your biggest ally there is, of course, to stay out of sight to begin with. Look for a backstab or a sticky grenade, or look to just contribute from further away. Your spin fuser is going to hit pretty hard. The stealth spin fuser is a good weapon. It does 700 damage if you hit dead on with the thing, and splash damage, it can be anywhere between 250 to 500. It's pretty damn nasty, and you're going to do 700 damage to a generator when you hit as well, so it's fairly good for working your way through that, but you want to be relying mostly on your sticky grenades to try and take the generator out, but you will need the assistance of somebody else, or a lot of time to spam spin fuser if you are attacking, say, a Mach 4 generator, which you'll probably end up doing. If you're being a complete annoying bastard as an infiltrator, chances are you're going to be going up against an upgraded generator later on, because people are just flat out sick of losing their generators over and over again. And to be fair, I think, that's one of the best upgrades you can possibly go for. We'll see what we can do about cleaning this area out. It is a little bit tricky, but we'll pick up the blue plate right there, and also go with the cloak just to avoid the remainder of that turret. I think it's still up, so I'm gonna watch out for that. Yes, it is. You can take these out in 2 spin fuser shots from full, or 1 sticky grenade will do it, but of course you want to be really saving your stickies for dealing with these generators. Now things are gonna get tricky. He knows that I'm there. We're gonna go 3 stickies on that and see if we can take the generator out before he's able to kill me. So even if I go down, at least then my job has been done. Maybe I get away with this. Ooh, 200 and then quick cloak. Doesn't take too long to cloak either, and with energy regen being so good when you've got yourself maximum level, you can do some really great stuff. If you're going with this melee build as well, don't be afraid just to kill with a spin fuser. It's like, oh, that guy's on low health. Shoot him with a damn spin fuser then. It's so much more reliable. You want to really be opening with a melee hit. And once again, this guy, he's the bane of my existence as a result, but thankfully he is not immune to sticky grenades. Always a good idea to try and land those behind. It's very tempting, I think, to go against, like, say, medium classes and try and get a stick on them with sticky grenade, and generally it doesn't work. And that sticky grenades don't really have a very large AoE, so you tend to get a complete miss. I generally aim behind them. That's usually the best way of dealing with it as far as I'm concerned. I aim behind the guy with the sticky because he will often back up as opposed to close in on me, and then I'll be able to pick up the kill as he runs backwards into the grenade. Always useful. What I like to do on this map, and there's a couple of other maps where this works pretty well, this is probably the best one though, because if you get the route right, you can skate on, basically passively, into a enemy generator room without too much of a problem. You can get a cloak about halfway across the map, and then you don't have to use your jetpack at all, because that's going to drain your energy very fast. You can just ski cloaked, and the chances of someone picking you up, unless you're going very fast, like above 170 kph where your blur's quite noticeable, there's very little chance of them seeing you. So you get down there nice and easy. If you get your angle right, you can ski all the way down there without even having to adjust your course, and then you've got plenty of energy left over, so you can decide what to do. More often than not, I'll find a nice place to hide to regenerate my energy to full, and then I'll go for the generator room and see what I can find. Maybe try and pick someone off along the way. As regards to dealing with these big guys, it's just a case of trying to keep momentum, and as well, throwing cloak in at awkward times. I don't like to use my jetpack too much as an infiltrator, because throwing cloak in at awkward times in a fight can be great, especially if you manage to go around a corner and get out of sight. If you go for a cloak there, it's going to take a couple of seconds for you to really disappear, and obviously in tribes, they're shooting at you anyway, and they're shooting in the direction that they know that you were, so the shot that's coming at you, that's probably gonna hit you or hit close anyway, so they know at that point where you are. But once you get around the corner and the cloak kicks in, things are good. They get confused. They may even stop moving, which is, of course, the thing that really kills them. I find that more often than not, that if you get a combat cloak as an infiltrator and you get the couple of seconds where you don't get hit, then the guy that's looking for you will actually stop moving, which generally means you can kill him. You can either get a really good direct hit with a spin fuser, or even if you're really lucky, actually hit him with a sticky. and that's perfect, and then you can actually take him out. It's a good way to surprise him. The problem with a combat cloak is that when you come out of cloak, chances are you're not going to have a lot of energy to use jetpack, so you yourself need to be careful there, as you will probably be at a standstill. You need to get in the air immediately, otherwise you'll get hit in the face with a spin fuser or mortar or whatever, which can be a little bit unpleasant. It's all a survivalist in action right there, as I was able to grab some extra energy, which gives me loads going in here. So I can pick my route, and it really depends one way or the other as to which way you want to go. In this case, I'm going to go down this route, and I find, oh look, bunch of light turrets. Not a big deal. I'm cloaked. There's no jammer, and I was able to pick up an ammo pack to keep me cloaked. So I'm going to check around, see if there are any enemies that I can take out. If not, I'm going to try and start doing damage to the generator. It is a Mach 4, so 3 sticky grenades on that is only really going to take it down to about half health. So you're going to need to start working on it with your spin fuser. Try to keep an eye out for people as well. This is a very, very risky thing to do, honestly. If I remembered what the key was, I would say turn to third person here, because you'll get more peripheral vision. So you've got a bit of a warning if someone's coming at you. Now, if you're doing that much damage, you can expect someone to follow up quite rapidly, so you'll have full cloak energy, hang around, see what's going on. Often they'll spam grenades looking for you, so raiders with Arcs Buster, for instance, can be a real problem because they'll get a lucky shot off and then you're pretty much dead. But stay in a nice corner where they're probably not going to check. Try to stay out of sight. Same principle here. Bear in mind, they have no radar, so they're relying on sight alone at this stage, so just hiding around a corner is enough. That also gives you a nice view if anyone comes down that conduit chute there, so you can throw a sticky in front of them and hopefully get the kill there. And be very, very patient if you're looking to melee. As I say, I don't think this is an optimal strategy, but I find it the most fun, which is why I do it. You've got to be really patient. You've got to wait for the perfect opportunity, because if you mess up that melee, you're pretty much dead, yeah? You will uncloak, they will hear you, they'll turn around, and the chances are they'll kill you instantly. Because, as I said, the recovery time for melee is quite long. So that's something that I would watch out for. Just be super, super patient to get the backstab. Totally worth it. I mean, you can kill a raider in one shot, as I've demonstrated. You can kill a technician in one shot, assuming he doesn't have the same crap that this guy does. Admittedly, he got a little bit unlucky there. And in my case, I like to be very opportunist as well. I don't like to start a fight if need be, because I'm an infiltrator. Why would I want to do that? I'm very, very fragile. My weapons are fairly powerful, but they do rely very much on aim. I mean, the silenced pistol is not a weapon that I really use all that much. I'll use it for chasing, like finish off a target that's trying to get away. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what you use the silenced pistol for. Otherwise, you know, the spin fuser is the way to go. But you miss with this thing. The stealth spin fuser does not have a huge area of effect, and it can be very, very dangerous to use if you're not sure you can actually get the hit in. So I like to be very opportunist. Someone's getting an engagement. All right, okay. Get into a good position, and then maybe get a spin fuser shot to try and finish things off when I'm sure that I can get the shot in, or contribute grenades to the fight. That's usually a good way of dealing with things, I feel. As regards to straight-up engagements in the field, I feel I can pretty much take on most classes. I think the classes that I have the biggest problems with are Pathfinder and Doombringer. Doombringer's a pain in the arse, mostly because the chain gun tears you to pieces as a light class. So if the guy's got good aim, you're going to take a lot of punishment, and you need to get a lot of direct hits to take down someone in heavy armor. And he is firing at you in the meantime with a chain gun, and you might just take horrible damage. You might end up getting the kill there, but that is damn satisfying. Oh yes, I love that. I'll admit that was fairly lucky, honestly. And the grenades were going in the right direction, certainly. There's an example of using cloak in combat to break line of sight with your opponent. Very, very important to try and do that when you're just sort of crossing behind a hill or whatever, because when you come out the other side, they're not going to have a clue. Plus, more often than not, I'll actually stop moving as well. And I'll stop skiing, I'll stop moving in that direction, because the guy knows that what my momentum was. I was going in this direction at about this speed. He knows this because he was shooting at me with a spin fuse or whatever, and oh, this was an awkward spot to get into. Holy crap! But what I'll try and do is I'll just stop. Like, right, well, he thinks that I'm moving here. Well, I'm not. EMP grenades. Also an enemy to the Infiltrator. Pain in the ass to deal with raiders sometimes. It's about being unpredictable and doing the unexpected. In a straight-up fight, the Infiltrator is not up to the standard or say, you know, a Pathfinder is just better in a straight-up fight. He's got more jetpack, he's got more energy. He's also got a better gun, straight up. The light spin fuser is a better weapon than the stealth spin fuser. That's a fact. The light spin fuser does more damage. It's just straight up. It's got the same refire rate, it does more damage. The stealth spin fuser looks cooler though, so as far as I'm concerned, that is all that matters. It is the coolest damn looking spin fuser in the game. Also, if they go bolt launcher, direct hit from a bolt does a ton of damage. A direct hit from a bolt will actually one-shot you unless you're fully upgraded. It does 910 damage on direct hit. One way or the other, you're getting two-shot against a good Pathfinder. So, you don't want to engage on their terms. In a high-flying fight, the Pathfinder's going to win 90% of the time, especially if he is of equal skill to you. Don't give them the opportunity. Throw your cloak in there. Try and force them to lose their momentum. Because if they're going to have to hunt around looking for you, then that's the kind of situation where you can do some serious damage to them. You can get a good spin fuser hit, maybe even a grenade. Or, alternatively, they decide you're not worth it and leave you alone. Great, that sounds fine. I can regen my energy and just continue on my way to do what I'm supposed to be doing, which is blowing up the damn generator. That's what I'm here for. That is my purpose. That is the thing that I do as an infiltrator. That is my job. I am to infiltrate. Oh, that was awkward. Sometimes it doesn't work out so well. Sometimes it does not. At least it means that there has to be a technician in there pretty much all the time to keep things going. Things you can't do as an infiltrator. Cap flags. You'd have to be very, very lucky. Personally, I would leave it. Unless you know you've got... Right, I've got a ton of momentum. I'm heading in that direction. I'm, say, going 200 kilometers an hour or higher. I can get a grab. I know I can get a grab. And I know the route back to my base. Alright, give it a shot. If you're gonna go at a slowest pace, though, no. Absolutely not. Other things you're not good at. Flag chasing. You're probably not as fast as the Pathfinder. And you don't have an Eagle pistol. You've got a stealth pistol, which is not as good because it's a non-hit scan weapon. It's much more difficult to hit a moving target with that than it is with the Eagle pistol. The Eagle pistol is a much better chasing weapon as far as I'm concerned in that respect. Now, this is where things get really wonderful, because you're blowing up a lot of generators and doing a lot of damage to the enemy base. What tends to happen is you get a lot of points, which is that's the whole point of the game. You know, you get a lot of points. It calculates how well you've done. You get a lot of credits that you can spend. Now, sometimes what I'd like to do is break a Beowulf out, because it allows me to change my role while staying as an infiltrator. Later on in the game, you'll often find, especially if you've made the other team very paranoid, the generator will be Mach 4, and it'll be very well defended. So it's like, right, well, this is getting really hard. What can I do? I can change my role and get a Beowulf, because I know that they're inside the base. They can't contribute to the defense against the tanks, so why don't I just go smashing things? And this guy must hate me. How many times have I got him? I think 3 at least. And here's a perfect opportunity to do some damage here to the generator. Let's see if maybe we can take it out. Or alternatively, what you can do is Stealth Tactical Strike or Stealth Orbital Strike, which is incredibly satisfying. Stealth Tactical Strike I really love, especially if the enemy team's got a couple of Sentinels, i.e. the Sniper class. That's always good. This... Oh, I didn't even get that. He's smart, actually. He learned what I was doing, so things are getting rather unpleasant for me in here at this stage. Surviving is unlikely, but he unfortunately did go against 2 of us, so the result was fairly inevitable. And that's good, because that's the technician out of the way for a little while, so he's not going to be fixing that up anytime soon. Maybe the Raider grabs a repair gun, but then that's good, because the Raider's also not killing us. He's not raiding our defenses, so that's fantastic. This is why generator harassment and the use of infiltrators is so important. The problem, of course, becomes when you get a team that has too many infiltrators, because there'll be just too much paranoia, and infiltrators otherwise, if they can't do this crap, aren't all that useful. You're just better off playing another class. But I've got to say that also points out something very important about one of the problems with tribes, is that because of the XP system and the cost of upgrades, you can't be as effective as you would otherwise be if you're just switching classes. Like in TF2, maybe you can just switch to a class instantly. Here, you've got a lot of things to worry about. They've got a lot of things to worry about too, because there's an orbital strike. Ah, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Ding, ding. What we can also do, while we're here, is pick off this little juggernaut. Tactical Strike's extremely good for taking out juggernauts. I love it. I love it. Anyway, as I was saying, the point is that one of the weaknesses of Tribes Ascend, which I'm still kind of wrestling with, is the fact that because it takes so long to really get a class to its full effectiveness, you don't really want to switch your class. And that's a problem, because if you have a team that is overstacked on one class, the chances are you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Like, you got a team with 6+ Pathfinders, probably not as bad as having 6+ Infiltrators, but I've seen 6+ Infiltrators. I have, and it's terrible, because they'll have fortified their gen room, they know that this is happening, they'll have jammers down, and you guys are useless. I mean, if you can't infiltrate, what are you going to do? What is your purpose? Because you're not as good as a Pathfinder, and you're certainly nowhere near as good a defender as, say, a Sentinel would be, so what is the purpose of you being that class? But you say, oh, just switch over to another one. Which one? What if I put all my experience points in Infiltrator? Which is why, honestly, if I was a new Tribes player, I would definitely say do not invest in the Infiltrator as your first class. You'll have 3 classes unlocked to start with when you start Tribes. Invest in one of those because they're pretty good general classes, and they're at least a little bit multi-role. Like, the Soldier can do quite a lot of stuff, yeah? You're always going to be kind of useful as a Soldier one way or the other. I'm not going to say a thing. You're going to be quite useful as a Soldier, and putting points in Soldier is never a terrible thing. Put all your points in Infiltrator to start with, and you restrict yourself to a role that is quite niche. The Infiltrator is definitely one of the most niche classes in the game, and there are times when the Infiltrator can just be completely shut out. But even the presence of an Infiltrator is useful in that respect, because it forces a lot of technicians from the opponent's team. And technicians are rubbish otherwise. They're for repairing. They can't really do much otherwise. They place the light turret down, and that's kind of their gimmick done. They're not a very effective combat class. They're annoying as hell, but they're not a very effective combat class. They're a defensive class that is more often than not used indoors, because otherwise the turret gets picked off too easily by enemy juggernauts, or indeed just Pathfinders just jetting past the 250 kph, spin fusering the things. There's all sorts of ways of clearing out turrets outside, not so many indoors. But overdoing it with this is pretty terrible. This is another thing you can do as an Infiltrator. At least you could, if he didn't have that perk. Any other tech, no problem. But it's very, very useful to do that, and I would highly recommend it, because it's mostly hilarious. I think it's probably time for me to get the hell out of there, honestly. Anyway, as a result of consistent generator harassment, I've tried to minimize the effectiveness of their defense, as well as force them to put more defensive classes on the field that can't be grabbing our flag and assaulting our base. Our generator didn't go down all that much. You can certainly use an Infiltrator as a generator defense class as well. You can stealth in there, you can take out other Infiltrators, you can nail down guys that are just camping. So that's nice too. But hopefully that demonstrates a few different combat methods with the Infiltrator, what it's designed to do, and what you should be doing if you happen to be playing this class. My name's been Totalbiscuit, with my Infiltrator, easily my favorite class at the moment. I'll see you next time.